My name is James McCulley. I'm the chair of the Board of Appeals. I'd like to welcome everybody to the October 2021 meeting held virtually using the WebEx platform. I'd like to remind everybody of what's called Aloha Etiquette, which is one person should speak at a time with no side conversations. Please mute your device to improve all of our audio quality. If you have a comment or a question, please raise your hand and wait for recognition by the chair before speaking. And before speaking at least the first time, please state your name. Speak slowly and clearly as close to your mic without being obscure. Limit the distractions, which is your mobile phones, your children, your dogs, your roosters. We'll try to take a break each hour if called upon. And I'd like to introduce the members of the board. I'm having a hard time. So let's start with, at my right is Richie Henderson. He is in the room today. This is the first time we've been face-to-face with any board member for a long time. The vice chair is Stacy Aguiar. Stacy, hi, good morning. Springer K. Springer, are you with us? There you go. Hi. Justin Lee. Raise your hand. Thanks, Justin. Matson Davis. In the middle of the Jeopardy board. Daniel Thomas. Hello, Neil. Cody, is that everybody? Okay. With me in the room, I have Dakota Friends. She's counsel to the board. Rob Leisure. Rob, are you on the screen?
We actually have Alexis instead of Jean.
Alexis taking it over.
Okay. With me is April Supernaut, representing the department in the Board of Appeals, for the Board of Appeals. Kim Tanaka is our secretary. She's off to my left. With us also today, I see Planning Director, Mr. Zendo Kern. He's shot me a shaka.
Good morning.
Good morning. Do we have somebody from, Jean Campbell, Deputy Corp Counsel. What are other counsels here?
Delilah Schluter, top middle.
Okay, Ms. Schluter, good morning. Welcome to the board. Raise your hand so we see you can hear us. Do you think she can hear us? Delilah? Maybe we're on mute.
We are not on mute. No.
With her, in her room. Delilah? Ms. Schluter?
I will send her an email.
All right.
Kaika's there.
Okay. We have Mr. Ikaika Rodenhurst, the Chief Engineer for Department of Public Works. Morning, Ikaika.
Morning.
I see a counsel, Mr. Ron Kim. And who else am I missing? Miss Lynn Allingham from Norteca. Yes. Is that everybody? All right. Welcome to the Friday, October 8th, 2021 Board of Appeals. The agenda items that have been continued or withdrawn include Robert Silber, BOA 20-000241, continued until February of 2022. Guy Bonner, BOA 21-000302, continued until November 12th, 2021. Eo Pu'uka'av, Incorporated, BOA 21-000296, continued to December 10th, 2021. Ryan Smoot, BOA 21-000301, the petition has been withdrawn. Heather Momi Hewitt, PL BOA 21-00002, continued until December 10th, 2021. Okay, at this time, I'd like to take statements from the public on any items on the agenda. Ms. Friends, to my left, will keep time. Everyone will get 3 minutes, and at 2.5 minutes, Cody will announce that you have a half a minute left. Please pay attention to your time and keep your testimony within the confines of our time limits. If you have written testimony, it speaks for itself. You don't have to read it to us. Do we have any testimony received, April, that's written?
We have quite a bit of testimony that has been shared with the board, yes.
Okay, so at this time, if you are here to testify, would you please announce yourself and the matter on which you're testifying? Yes, Jane?
I'm here to testify on the matter of a gate at Kaiolu Road
Okay,
in Kailua Kona.
that's fine. You can provide your testimony now.
Oh, I'm a 45-year resident of the county. I've worked in healthcare for over 52 years, most of it establishing and improving healthcare on the west side of the Big Island. I don't feel comfortable, safe anymore in my neighborhood of 45 years. Over the past 10 years, the crime and the lack of feeling secure in my own home has increased to police calls, and we were advised to build a gate, which was a 5-year process to get consensus and get it started. When it was almost completed, it was denied by the Public Works and Planning Department. I don't understand your process, but I just am here as a citizen and a contributor to the county, and I strongly support the Kaiolu Drive Gate project. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you for testimony. Let's see, Alexis? That's our staff. Is there anybody else from the public to testify? Hearing none, seeing none?
Is there John Edwards online? Alexis?
Oh, this one?
I do not see a John Edwards here.
How about Mr. Douglas Fairfield?
I don't believe there's anyone else.
This was probably
Douglas?
Jane.
Okay. That's all you have.
We have nobody, okay, so that's written testimony from the Kaiolu homeowners.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there's no other verbal testimony, at this time, I will close the portion of the hearing for testimony, and I will read in the first agenda item, which is under old business. Norteca Properties Incorporated, Board of Appeals 19-000237. This was an appeal of a decision by the planning director regarding denials issued for short-term vacation rental registration. It was STVR 19-363238. And the non-conforming use certificate, NUC-19-1626. The location is at 77-152 Queen Kalama Avenue in Kailua Kona, 96740, and the TMK is 37-7-025-078. This matter is for an adoption of the ordinance. Do the parties have any comments on the revised findings of fact or conclusions of law and where we are today? Any of the parties?
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. This is Jean Campbell, Deputy Corporation Counsel on behalf of the Planning Department. I circulated, or at the board, I circulated a draft findings, conclusions, and order in early September. Ms. Franklin gave us some good comments, which were revised and incorporated, and then I recirculated, or actually my legal technician, Nicole Penfield, recirculated a draft on September 3rd, and I haven't heard anything more. So if Ms. Allingham is okay with it, the Planning Department is okay with it as drafted.
Ms. Allingham?
I have no objection to the revised findings and conclusions of law and order.
Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the motion to approve. Please.
Move to approve the findings of fact and conclusions of law. This is Springer K.
Thank you, Springer. And a second?
Neil
Thank you,
Thomas.
Neil. Okay. Are there any questions by the board members? Comments? Hearing none, let's take a roll call vote.
Ms. Kay?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Sagiar?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Henderson?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Chair McCulley?
Aye.
Motion carries with 7 ayes.
Thank you very much. At this time, we will go to new business. The first item of the only item we have on the agenda of new business is the Derenfeld matter. I am recusing myself from this matter, as is Ms. Aguiar. And the matter will be chaired by Richie Henderson here in the room. So at this point, I will pass the gavel to Mr. Henderson.
Thank you, Chair McCulley. This is Richie Henderson, and I am taking over the chair of the meeting due to living on an island and the effects of people being so close to one another.
COVID.
I'd like to read into the agenda the new business item. This is Douglas Derenfield, BOA-21-000303, appeal of decision by the Director of Public Works dated June 8th, 2021, regarding revocation of building permit BK 2020-00957, location Kaiolua Drive, North Kona, TMK 37-8-014:029. I'd like to proceed with having each of the parties and or their legal representatives state their name for the record. Please proceed, Mr. Kim.
Good morning, Chairperson Henderson. This is Ronald Kim. I'm appearing on behalf of petitioner appellant Douglas Derenfield, who is also present in the Zoom meeting.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Henderson and the rest of the board. I apologize, I could not hear before when we were doing introductions. My name is Delilah Schluter. I am the Deputy Corporation Counsel representing the Director in the Department of Public Works. Here with me from the department today is the Director Kaika Rodenhurst, as well as Acting Deputy Building Chief Neil Tanaka.
Thank you, Delilah. Okay. Notices. I'd like to verify that the appellant provided notice of today's hearing to the surrounding property owners in accordance with the BOA Rule 18-11D 20 days prior to the hearing, and has filed with the board proof of service or of good faith efforts to serve the notice of the hearing on the property owners within 300 feet.
Yes, Chair, that's correct. We do.
Good. Okay, are all the parties ready to proceed?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Okay, let's turn to witnesses. Are there any witnesses for the appellant?
Just the petitioner, Dr. Derenfield.
Okay.
Morning.
Delilah, any on your side?
Yes, Chair. I have with me Mr. Scott Scherer, as well as Director Rodenhurst and Neil Tanaka.
Okay. Turning to exhibits, Mr. Kim, how many exhibits do you have and do you intend to offer?
We have total of, we've had 8 exhibits with our initial pleading, and then we just filed a supplemental exhibit. And that's relating to the supplemental pleading that the county made this week. So 9.
Okay, and they're marked.
That's correct. I believe that the supplemental exhibit, though, is mislabeled. I labeled it Exhibit 6. It should be 9.
Could you please repeat that? The door closed and.
No problem. The supplemental exhibit is labeled Exhibit 6, but it really should be Exhibit 9.
Thank you for the correction.
Yes, thank you.
Doesn't get one, actually.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
in a closet.
Okay, April, this has got to be changed to
I should
Exhibit
have a
9.
over my head.
okay, it's up to the, this is a supplemental,
Yeah,
is my understanding?
yeah, but down here, he has it noted as 6 and it should be 9. It's mislabeled.
Okay,
He stated that when you walked out the room.
got it.
If I may
So, Mr. Kim, I'm hoping you could just resend a clean version.
With the correct label?
Yes, please.
Yes, we can. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim.
Just as a side, it may just be email or whatnot, but I haven't received a copy of this. I'd just like to receive a copy. I don't see it on the board's website yet, and it may just be due to timing, which I have no objection to. Just like to see a copy.
Aloha, Ms. Shooter, this is April. It was just sent, I did not see your name on the list, but I did just email it to you, so you should be getting it momentarily.
Thank you.
Okay, does the appellee have any exhibits? And are they marked?
I apologize, Chair. I was coordinating with my email to get this supplement. Yes, the department does have exhibits. They are marked. They have been submitted. We have submitted exhibits A through CC. There are a number of exhibits that are duplicates with the appellants, and if the appellant would be agreeable, I would be agreeable to stipulate to the entrance of all exhibits subject to cross-examination, and I will leave that to Mr. Kim of whether he would agree to that or not.
Yes, we would stipulate.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so everybody has stipulated to the exhibits. We'll keep track of those. Now I'd like to say what the chair's understanding of the issues are, and I'd like you to limit any of your testimony and exhibits to the petition itself. This appeal of the DPW's decision to rescind a permit previously approved upon learning that 2 of the 14 property owners were objecting to the purpose of the permit, installation of the gate. Appellant's permit application indicated that the appellant had the authority to request the permit when it turned out he didn't. DPW, Department of Public Works, learned that some of the property owners did not agree with the gate's installation, nor did they approve of the permit application. DPW rescinded its permit approval immediately. 1, appellant argues the director's decision violates established law, specifically one's right to the full enjoyment of their property. 2, appellant argues the director's decision was clearly erroneous. Specifically, appellant argues there was no correct information supplied on the building permit application, nor does the building code require that unanimous consent of all owners to a building permit. Finally, 3, appellant argues the director's decision was arbitrary or capricious and was an abuse of discretion. Specifically, that the director wanted written verification that all owners agreed with the permit application. DPW took this position after learning that the contractor and architect that were retained by Darren Field both learned that there was a lack of homeowners' consent to the gate. They felt misled and wanted to rescind their approval of the project and have their names removed from the permit. And that would be in exhibits L and M. So I'd like to say the presentation of evidence, including documentary and testimonial evidence, should be focused on the issues in the petition.
With all due respect, I would object to the way that the issues are stated. I feel like there is some inaccuracy there. Only 1 out of the 14 owners objected. Also, I think it's somewhat misleading and somewhat biased to say that the application itself represented that the owner had authority of all owners to sign. It seems like this is somewhat predetermined with the way the issues are framed, basically. And also too, I believe there's a housekeeping matter due to the pleading that Public Works filed this week, the supplemental brief. At this point, there's a question as to what version of the code should even apply and what version of the code we're talking about here. In the director's decisions, the director cited the new version of the code, which gave the director the authority to suspend or revoke a permit. Now, Public Works is saying that the old version of the code should apply with the supplemental pleading. So we'd ask for clarification there as a threshold matter to understand which version of the code should apply.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Delilah, do you have a comment on that?
Yes, absolutely. On behalf of the director, I would not say that the chair's summary of the facts are inaccurate in any way. I think regarding as far as which version of the code applies, and we can elicit this further in testimony and discussion with the director, when we're talking about which version of the code applies, the amendments to the building code are more applicable to the requirements under which a permit is reviewed and determined whether, building plans, et cetera, can be approved upon. The differences in the prior code and the current amended code they're very similar is the thing. And regardless of whether you were to review the entire situation under the code as it existed at the time of the application and issuance of this building permit, or if you were to review it under the current administrative code, the same conclusion is resulting. The significant changes here regarding what kind of authority is required, what kind of consent is required to obtain a building permit has not changed, even though there has been some nuances in the language.
Yes, Mr. Kim.
The real big change between the two codes is that the new version of the code gives the director the authority to suspend or revoke a permit. The older version of the code is silent on that issue.
I would disagree, because the older version of the code specifically gives the director the duty and authority to enforce the code. Enforcement would include enforcing that all of these provisions are complied with, which would have to include the revocation or remedy if it was determined that a provision of the code had not been complied with.
Yes, Mr. Kim.
I'm still asking for clarity as to which version of the code the director is saying applies. And I'm still confused here because now I'm understanding they're saying the older version of the code applies, but the very decisions were based upon the new version of the code, and they cited the new version of the code. So there's a huge disconnect here already.
I don't think this disconnect is entirely huge. Based on Mr. Kim's own additional exhibit, if we're looking at it, it says work performed pursuant to a permit issued before the effective date of this ordinance, and which is inspected on or after such effective date shall be approved if it meets the requirements of the code in effect at the time of the permit was issued. This piece specifically discusses the work performed and inspected, as well as just. So even if you're looking at the language of that ordinance itself, that meets what we're discussing. The policy behind this provision is so that if a builder or a design professional were to apply for a permit under one version of the code, if that code were to be updated in the middle of your project, you would not be subject to those new building provisions. It's a matter of reasonableness and fairness that must be applied when you're dealing with building projects. We're talking if you were building your house under the 2006 code, which was applicable at the time that Mr. Deerenfield submitted his application, and then you hadn't finished it till today, and today it was under the 2018 version of the code, you would not be subject to the changes in that code because you applied for the permit at the time that you did. So therefore, the big changes here are the administrative discussions that we're talking about. And even in that the code that was in place at the time Mr. Deerenfield applied, the administrative provisions allow the director to enforce, interpret the provisions of the code. It's still required that an owner, applicant, or the owner's agent sign the permit, indicating their requisite authority to do so. We still had a definition of owner. All of it is much similar to where it is now. The difference is we felt we had an ethical duty to point out to this board that the work being performed under this subject permit is subject to the 2006 code. We felt it would be remiss and misleading not to inform the board that we realize, yes, the 2006 building code governs the permit that was applied for. But regardless of your analysis, whether it's under the prior version of the code or today's version of the code, it's the same.
Morning, everybody. This is Deputy Corporation Counsel Cody Friends. I'm going to interrupt because we're now outside the scope, first of all, of the petition, which doesn't even get into which version of the code from Mr. Kim, but we're now getting into argument about what type of law. So if, I'm going to get everyone back on track with the process of the petition and the appeal now. If council would rather brief the issue for the board, we can continue the matter for briefing to occur as to that issue, or we're going to dive right back in and get us back on track. Council, do you have a position?
The department's position is to continue today and that further briefing should not be needed.
Mr. Kim?
With all due respect, this can really go to the jurisdiction of the director's decision in of itself. So because of that fact, I would actually ask for further briefing on this matter.
Okay, so they want to have a continuance. Okay, would 30 days be sufficient time?
It should be.
To provide your briefs?
Yes, and if we could even get dates to file our briefs too, that would be wonderful.
So we can continue this to the November meeting. What date is that? April?
That meeting is November 12th.
Delilah, would that be okay with you? Continuance to November 12th, Friday, the next meeting of the Board of Appeals?
Yes, that would be sufficient, Your Honor, or Chair, sorry.
That guy.
Okay, that guy. Mr. Kim, you're okay with that? You previously acknowledged that. So with that, I think that we'll bring this matter to a close, or we're going to go on with.
Can we give them a specific deadline for the providing of
You need to
supplemental
schedule.
pleadings?
You need to.
Yeah, so let's schedule the, this is the 8th today. So would 2 weeks be sufficient to get the briefs in? Okay, I see Mr. Kim, it says is okay. That's okay with you, Delilah? 2 weeks?
Yes, sure.
All right, so.
And then any responsive pleadings. How many days for responsive pleadings, if any, council?
5, maybe?
I think
5 days?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay,
So-
5 days for response.
Work the calendar.
Pleadings will be due, briefing will be due on Friday, October 22nd. And any responses will be due on the 27th. Does that work for council?
It does, thank you. And may I just add the caveat that we may file a dispositive motion with the brief too.
Welcome.
If we're also doing dispositive motions, if there's going to be multiple responses, could I request that the response date be the 29th?
Is that okay?
Yep.
That's fine. For a dispositive motion?
All right, to recap, the briefs are due October 22nd. Responses are due within 5 days, October 27th. Any dispositive responses would be due on the 29th of October. Everybody has got that calendared? All right,
Moving on.
moving on in the agenda.
All right, thank you, Mr. Henderson.
Hang on 1 second.
Thank you, parties.
I need to get Stacy back on.
Ms. Aguiar will rejoin the board at this time, and she's being contacted.
Someone had a hand raised earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I see a hand get raised that I missed in our legal discussion?
Neil had
Chime
his
in
hand up
if
earlier.
you had a hand up. Alexis, what?
Neil had his hand up earlier.
Oh, okay.
Should be there in 2 minutes.
Neil, did you have a question? I see that Stacy has joined us, so I'll turn the
Not
meeting.
quite.
No.
Her computer will be on in 2 minutes, I believe she said.
Okay. But at this time, I can relinquish the chair back to the chairman. Yeah, so at this time, I'll relinquish the chair back to the chairman. Macaulay, thank you very much for everybody's participation.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. I feel whole again.
Stacy's not quite there yet.
Yes, we're still waiting for Ms. Aguiar. We see her, she's getting closer.
Deerenfields could.
Oh, and anybody here on the Deerenfield matter can excuse themselves and get back to the real world. Any of you left? Mr. Deerenfield, are you still on?
No, he just signed up.
Okay. And Ms. Wu, Mona Wu, we are finished with the Deerenfield matter and that BOA at this time. You're welcome to sit and observe. We have public meetings.
Hi, I'm back.
Welcome back, Ms. Aguiar.
Hi.
All right. Hi. So
We did lose Mr. Oh, no, we have everyone.
we have Justin Springer.
Okay, we're good.
We're good? Okay, welcome back. All right, next on the agenda is the approval of our August 13th, 2021 minutes. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve minutes.
Neil so moves.
Thank you, Neil.
Second.
I heard Richie and I saw Mattson. I'll go with Richie. So Richie, Mr. Henderson seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Mr. Henderson?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Aguiar?
I will abstain since I was not present at the previous meeting.
Ms. Kay?
Aye. Excuse me, aye.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
And Chair McCulley?
Aye.
Motion passes with 6 ayes.
Thank you. Let's move on to our administrative matters. I'd like to ask our Deputy Corp Counsel for a status update on the appeals filed with Board of Appeals decisions.
I'm not aware of any at this time.
Not aware. All right, thank you. April, our staff, our status update on outstanding Board of Appeals petitions.
Yes, thank you, Chair. We have 3, other than the Deerenfield matter, we have 3 other cases on the agenda for November. That is the Talbert case ending in 290, the Bonner case ending in 302, and the Yamamoto petition ending in 00004.
All right, thank you. Do any of the board members have any announcements? Yes, Mr. Henderson?
I will be leaving for a Thanksgiving vacation in Tennessee on the 15th and returning December 1st.
Of November to December 1st.
To December 1st.
That does not provide a conflict.
Yep.
So that's good. Thank you. Hope you enjoy the mountains or
Valleys.
the valley.
Tennessee.
Well, in the east, there are mountains. And in the west, there is Nashville. And that's it. Okay. I'd like to make an appreciation for Mr. Henderson stepping up and handling the Deerenfield matter. And I'd like to say that it's, at this point, we seem to have our agendas and our matters back in hand. And I appreciate the efficiency of the staff. So thank you. If there's nothing else, then I'm going to entertain a motion. Oh, yes, Neil.
If Mr. Henderson's going to miss the next meeting and we still have the chair and vice chair.
No, he will not miss the next meeting. The next meeting date is
12th.
It's going to be the
November 12th.
November 12th, and Mr. Henderson leaves on the 15th.
Okay, good. So he can still manage the Deerenfield matter.
Yes, and Ms. Aguiar and myself will still remain recused. Nothing will change. Okay?
Exactly, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything else? If not, a motion to adjourn, please.
I so move.
Thank you, Mattson.
Second.
I knew you were going to raise your hand, Springer. I was just waiting. Thank you for that. So we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And with that,